Taiwan and around the world. $870 million worth of security aid for Taiwan has been unfrozen by the U.S. government. That's according to a Reuters review of a list of U.S. foreign aid assets. U.S. President Donald Trump froze more than $5 billion worth of aid for the first 90 days of his presidency. A list of exemptions now shows aid to the so-called Taiwan plan is no longer restricted. Reuters and government officials here in Taiwan have yet to confirm what is in that plan or how the funding will be used. The U.S. is Taiwan's largest provider of security assistance, weapons, and financing. U.S. President Trump is threatening up to 100% tariffs on Taiwanese semiconductors while pressuring the country's chip firms to move manufacturing to the United States. To find out how the U.S.'s policy decisions will affect Taiwan's semiconductor industry in the long run, Alec McDonald spoke to Marco Mesger, Chief Operating Officer at Numanda.
The United States is reportedly asking TSMC and Intel to start a joint venture, or TSMC face tariffs for their semiconductors. What is your opinion about this reporting?
Yeah, I think when I heard the first time about the potential tariffs on TSMC, I was actually quite surprised because I think we need to understand when you put the tariffs on, and I think they set it on a broader base on semiconductor, but you need to divide. So you have chips, you have kind of subsystem, and you have computing systems. And so it has not been really clear what is exactly targeted. But one thing what I can tell you, all three would affect American companies to a quite big extent. And if we are looking on the technology leadership of TSMC and also the scale of production, what is needed to serve their clients, this is only possible to do with the 14 fabs what TSMC has in Taiwan. So even the fab what has been built in the USA, I think is a good step also for TSMC to go abroad and to make alliances, go into the local ecosystem.
And because these semiconductors are so vital to the economy and everyday technology, ultimately North American businesses will still need these semiconductors. So what can TSMC do in the instance of tariffs? Will they pass the cost down to consumers?
I think they will pass the tariffs down to the consumers. They cannot suck this up. So I think the point is like if there are tariffs which will be imposed, the end customer is normally the ones who has to pay the bill.
Looking at the long run under these proposed changes to the way that the United States might react to Taiwan's semiconductor industry, at least over the next 4 years, what do you think is the best case scenario, and then maybe a bit more of a pessimistic or worst case scenario for the future of Taiwan's semiconductor industry?
Best case scenario for whom? Yeah. So I think, again, I'm a business person, so I would suggest and also believe it's in the best TSMC interest and also in their shareholders to look that they keep their core know-how here in Taiwan. They have a good ecosystem here. They are very efficient in production. And this means also they are very cost efficient to do this. Will the US imply the tariffs? We both don't know, Alec, if this is going to happen, but the threat is definitely there. And the threat is making people think. So it basically make these models where you think, okay, how can we cope with this? But we have to understand at the end of the day, the end customers pay the price, and the end customers could be first, let's say, data center customers for the AI who are using the NVIDIA chip. It is also an Intel who is buying the 3-nanometer process technology. They are using a tile, like a part of a chip, to basically package it into their bigger chip inside. So I can see a lot of negativity and negative effects for the US customers who are utilizing the cutting-edge technology for TSMC.
That was Marco Mesger from Numanda. You can watch the full interview on Zoom In, Zoom Out, available at TaiwanPlus.com. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says China did not give proper notice of live fire drills in waters between Australia and New Zealand after the exercises forced airlines to divert flights.
We believe it would be appropriate to have been given more warning of this potential event taking place. But I can confirm also that there has been no danger to Australian assets as a result of this action in China.
The live fire exercises took place about 400 nautical miles east of Australia in international waters. Beijing broadcasted a warning roughly a day prior to the exercises. The drills come as the Cook Islands reveals a deal it's made with China, allowing Beijing to build ports and invest in deep-sea fishing bases there, expanding its presence in the Pacific. Israel has confirmed that a body handed over by Palestinian militant group Hamas is that of Shiri Bibas. The Israeli mother of 2 baby boys was kidnapped with her sons and husband during Hamas's October 2023 attack. The militant group had previously handed over a misidentified body meant to be Bibas, sparking outrage and threatening to derail the Gaza ceasefire. Hamas is releasing 6 more living hostages on Saturday in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. Germany goes to the polls on Sunday to elect a new parliament. The elections follow the collapse of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition government last year, but now come at a time of instability as the continent reels from a United States that is reducing its support for Ukraine. Louise Watt reports.
Ahead of Germany's elections, tens of thousands rally in central Berlin against the far right, which has been boosted recently by deadly attacks blamed on asylum seekers. Led by Alice Weidel, the Alternative for Germany party is not expected to win or form part of a coalition government. But it has pushed the issue of immigration up the agenda. Even the man expected to become Germany's next leader is talking about it.
Wir müssen in den nächsten 4 Jahren 2 große Probleme dieses Landes lösen. Das ist die Migration und das ist die Wirtschaft.
Germany is 2 years into recession, hit by high energy prices in the wake of Russia's war in Ukraine and Chinese competition. Friedrich Merz is seen as pro-business and is running under the slogan, "A Germany we can be proud of again." His conservative Christian Democrats are expected to become the biggest party in the German parliament. The previous coalition government, led by Chancellor Olaf Scholz, collapsed in November. They disagreed over the budget and how to get the country's economy going again. Scholz is running in this election, but his Social Democrats, or SPD, are trailing in the polls, well behind Merz's CDU-CSU bloc and the far-right Alternative for Germany. The current government is made up of the SPD, Greens and the Free Democratic Party, or FDP. Wanting to reduce trade dependency on China, they toughened Germany's approach to Beijing during their 3 years in power. Theirs was also the first German government to mention Taiwan in its coalition agreement, to emphasize their commitment to global democratic values, illustrating their awareness of the East Asian country's geopolitical significance. This led to the first visit by a German minister to Taiwan in 26 years, a visit called vile by China, which claims sovereignty over Taiwan. But observers say the coalition parties disagreed on how to treat Beijing, with Chancellor Scholz wary of upsetting China, which up until last year was Germany's largest trading partner. Now, election frontrunner Merz is expected to take a tougher line.
He has named Beijing as one of the members of the 4-party axis of authoritarianism, together with Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And there are clear indications that Merz would push for a more assertive policy that Berlin should assume vis-à-vis Beijing. That being said, he would have to make sure that the different members of the coalition would be able to reconcile their differences to the greatest extent possible.
Those differences may arise with Merz's sister party, the Christian Social Union, or CSU. It's based out of the state of Bavaria, which has strong links to China, a big investor in its car industry. But beyond trade and manufacturing, there are bigger concerns at play in these elections. The vote comes as Europe reels from reduced US support for the continent's security and a clear shift in policies by its historical ally. Whichever parties form Germany's next government, they face the challenge of not just turning around Europe's biggest economy and addressing voters' fears on immigration, but also charting a path forward for Europe at a time of greater global uncertainty. Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Pokémon trainers from across the world have journeyed to Taiwan to join a global event hosted in New Taipei. Reese Ayers has more.
Searching far and wide on a mission to be the very best. Thousands of Pokémon trainers have descended on Taiwan, this year playing host to one of Pokémon Go's biggest events. The annual Pokémon Go tour is hosted by a different city each year, and this time it was New Taipei's turn. Some players crossed continents to attend.
So you've travelled all the way from the UK specifically for this event?
Specifically for this event, yeah. We try to go to all the events. So I love the Pokemon community. Just everyone's so friendly. It's a good family game. I always say a family of Pokemon together stay together. So yeah, just really, and it gets me out and about, meeting new people, seeing new places.
Despite some players dropping off after its 2016 debut, Pokémon Go is still going strong, with a global community of players numbering in the millions. More than just a virtual experience, the game brings people together in the real world. And events like these offer folks a chance to meet trainers from all over, trade regionally exclusive Pokémon, and catch some of the most sought-after monsters.
And this is what people are here for, to gain early access to event-exclusive Pokémon, like this shiny Pikachu wearing a hat.
Pokémon Go remains particularly popular in Taiwan, which boasts one of the most active communities in the world.
I can't emphasize enough how important of a market Taiwan is for Niantic and for Pokémon Go. But that comes from having a community, having a country that is, loves our game so much that they can come out and really show what it can be in its perfect form. And that's why Taiwan is the perfect place to do that.
Events of this scale can bring big boosts to the local economy. Pokémon and app developer Niantic often collaborate with local governments in Taiwan, working together to encourage exploration using in-game features.
这10条整个官方的路线里面，其实就包含着新北市的历史文化、美食以及新北市的现代化，可以显现让各位更能够了解新北市的从前以及现在跟未来。
Taiwan's dedicated local scene has received a lot of worldwide attention over the years, like when swarms of players made international headlines back in 2016. And the Pokémon grandpa who went all out to maximize his chances of catching rare spawns. And the game is still uniquely popular among Taiwan's older people.
今年72岁了，住台中，玩宝可梦超5年了，越玩越有兴趣。出来打的都是年纪大的，尤其礼拜六、礼拜天，年轻人都在睡觉，都没看到年轻人在玩，特地来了。我光为这个宝可梦也花不少钱呢。我2仗就花了台币车钱还不算哦，2仗就花了差不多3000块。
For some, the charm of the game may have died off long ago. But almost 10 years after its release, Pokémon Go is still enjoyed by a sizable global community of dedicated players, willing to travel far and wide, trying to catch them all. John Su, Millie Hughes and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, let's head to London's St. Paul's Cathedral for an immersive light show. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you next time.